Hi everyone, so now we're going to be talking about pyramids and cones and how to find the surface area and volume of those. So pyramids are any shape that comes to a point. So it's a prism. It can be considered, we're going to do square, rectangular, and triangular pyramids, which basically means that the base of the pyramid is a square or rectangle or a triangle, and then it'll come up into a 3D shape that comes to a point. And a cone is like a circular pyramid that just means that the base is a circle and it comes up to a point as well. So for a pyramid, the surface area formula is the area of the base, or capital B, plus 1/2 P times L, where P stands for the perimeter of the base, and that cursive L thing stands for the lateral length. Now the lateral length is another name for it is called the slant height. So basically it's not the height of the pyramid, because the height of the pyramid would start from the center of the base and go up, but the slant height starts from the side of a base and goes up to the point. And then for the volume of a pyramid, we use, I drew it kind of odd. It shouldn't have two V's, it should just have one V, but it should be volume is equal to 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. And this H is the actual height of the pyramid, so it should be measured from the center of the base, or the middle of the base, up to the top. For a cone, the surface area formula is pi r squared plus pi r L, where that L is still that lateral height, or the slant height, and then the volume is 1/3 pi r squared H. So let's go through some examples. For number 1 and number 2, we're going to start by finding the surface areas. So number 1 is a square pyramid, and I know it's a square pyramid because the base is a square, because the sides are the same. They're both 9 kilometers. And so I'm going to use the surface area formula. So surface area is equal to the area of the base plus 1/2 the perimeter times the lateral height. The area of the base is the area of a square, which is just side times side, or side length squared. So I'd have 9 times 9, which we know is 81. And then the perimeter of the base, because the base is a square, we know that all of the sides are the same, which means that it'll be 9 times 4, or 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, because there are 4 sides to a square and they're all 9s. So 9 times 4 is 36. And then we know that the lateral height, they gave us the lateral height to be 11.9. And I know it's a little bit hard to see on my picture, but on the picture on your examples, you can definitely tell it's a lateral height because it's on the side of the shape versus inside the shape. So now we're just going to plug everything into our formula. We'd have surface area is the area of the base, which we know is 81, plus 1/2 the perimeter of the base, which is 36, times the lateral height, which is 11.9. And now let's plug all of that into a calculator, and we get that the surface area is 295.2, and because it's a surface area, we can put we're going to put a unit on it. It would be kilometers squared, or square kilometers, because it is an area, we have to square that unit. Okay, now let's do the second example, which is a cone, and we're again finding the surface area. So the surface area of a cone formula is that the surface area is equal to pi r squared plus pi r L. These cone formulas are a little bit easier to use than the pyramid formulas, because all the information that you need is already given to you. That 8 right there, I'm going to use a different color, is your radius, because the radius is from the center out on a circle. And then that 17.9 is your L. And those are the only 2 variables we need. So I'm just going to plug those into my formula right off the bat. We'd have surface area is equal to pi, but instead of r, I'm going to put an 8 squared plus pi times your r, which is 8 again, times L, which is 17.9. Okay, now I can plug that into a calculator. So pi times 8 squared plus pi times 8 times 17.9 would give me that the surface area is equal to 650.94, and that's rounded. Anytime you use pi's, it'll be kind of a weird never-ending number or never-ending decimal, so we just round to the nearest hundredth. Because it's a surface area, we put units on it. The units we're using are miles, but because it's an area, we square it, so it's in square miles, or miles squared. All right. Now, the next two examples, we're going to find the volume. And so the first shape is a triangular pyramid because the base is a triangle. And so let's go back up and look at the volume of a pyramid formula. It's 1/3 base times height. So I'm going to start by just writing that down. Volume is equal to 1/3 capital B times height. Now my B is the area of the base, which in this case is an area of a triangle because my base is a triangle. I know the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. So in this case, it's going to be 1/2 3 times 5. Now, I don't necessarily know that 3 is the base and 5 is the height, but I do know that those are my bases and heights because those are the two that line up with, oh, I lied. I'm so sorry. I wasn't even paying attention to the original question. If you look on your picture, this is the right angle. Because the right angle is in the back, instead of having it 3 and 5, it should be 3 and 4 right there. That was my bad. I know those are my bases and heights because those are not the hypotenuse of the triangle. The hypotenuse is the longest length, and so with that being the hypotenuse, it's not, with 5 being the hypotenuse, it can't be the base or the height of the triangle. So I can plug that in and I would end up with 6 as the area of my base. And then the H in my volume formula for height is the actual height of the pyramid, which in this case is that 9. And I know it's a height instead of a lateral height because it goes from the center of the triangle up. So if I plug everything into my volume formula to get volume is 1/3 times the area of the base, which is what we just found, which is 6, and then times the height of the pyramid, which we know is 9. And so then I can just do 1/3 times 6 times 9, which gives me 18. And because it's a volume, we would say yards cubed or cubic yards. So there's my volume there. Now let's go to the fourth example, which is a cone. And we're going to find the volume. So the formula for volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Again, we were given most of this information. So my h is this 20. That's the height of the pyramid. And then your r isn't necessarily the 20 that's on the bottom because the 20 that's on the bottom goes from edge to edge of the circle. And we know that the radius is just from the center out. So that 20 down at the bottom is actually your diameter. To find the diameter from your radius, we divide by 10. So I know that the diameter is 20, and that's, or let me write it this way. So radius is equal to 1/2 my diameter. I know my diameter is 20, so it'll be 1/2 times 20, which means that r is equal to 10. All right, so now I have my r and my h. I'm going to plug it into my volume formula. So I get volume is equal to 1/3 pi, then my r, which is 10, squared times my h, which is 20. And now I can just plug that into a calculator. I do 1/3 times 10 squared times 20, and I end up with the volume has to be equal to 2094.40. And we know it's measured in feet, but because it's a volume, it's cubed, so it's cubic feet. And here is my volume. Okay, and that's how we find surface areas and volumes of pyramids and cones.